Tired of the big cruise ships? Ready for something different? Welcome to RTE-Travel Talk. Ask a real travel expert, the show that talks to travel professionals around the world. And today, we're exploring the world of intimate yacht-style cruising with Atlas Ocean Voyages. If you enjoy the journey with us today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. And if this video's got you inspired, give it a thumbs up or drop a comment and join the conversation. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for being part of our travel community, whether you're a longtime fan or just dropping by. We really appreciate it. And now, on with the show. I'm thrilled today to be joined by two very special guests. First, returning to the show is travel expert Barb Chamberlain of Direct Travel. Always a pleasure, Barb.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me back.
And joining us for the very first time, we have Anthony Iozzia, Regional Sales Director for Atlas Ocean Voyages. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate you having me join the show. I'm very much looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to having the two of you. So, Anthony, let's start off with the basics. For those who may not be familiar with Atlas Ocean Voyages, how would you describe them in a few words?
We are small ship cruising, luxury cruising, and our tagline is year-round intimate yachting expeditions. And I'm sure I'll touch on each of those words individually as we go along in the podcast, but year-round intimate yachting expeditions. Everyone keep that in their head.
Right on. I love that. Your fleet is actually quite new and intentionally small, right?
Definitely small. In some areas of the world, more specifically the polar regions, we only take around 172 guests on board. And then to the rest of the world, we take 190 guests. So compared to some of these mega ships out there that are taking in excess of 7,000 people, we are almost like a private yacht. And because of these smaller ships, we're able to go to places where some of the bigger ships can't take you.
As you know, like small ship cruising has gotten really, really popular in the last number of years. What sets Atlas apart when it comes to this, Anthony?
It's a combination of a lot of things. Like the one thing I touch on is the size of the ship. So having a ship so small and so intimate, you get to know all your guests. After like 1 day or 2 days, you feel like you're with a bunch of new friends that you just met. And being we primarily focus on the Canadian market and the American market, everyone is like-minded people. They're typically 45 and older.
Right.
English speaking guests, and it's just because they're like-minded people, you're gonna make friends if you want to or not. You're gonna have like 50 friends before you know it, and it just makes for a great experience.
It really adds to the experience when it's a small group of people. So, Barb, from a travel advisor's perspective, what do you think is the big draw when it comes to Atlas?
I do believe everything that Anthony just said is so true. And the crew to guest ratio is like 1-to-1. The community family atmosphere on board is like no other. I have guests that have gone and they come back and say, we want to book another cruise.
They're really building brand loyalty.
They are certainly building. I have one client, she just came back last weekend from Antarctica.
Yeah.
And she's just booked another cruise for 2026, and they're going on a back-to-back later this year. That's brand loyalty.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now, Anthony, when we think about these small cruise lines, and especially on the expedition side, they tend to be fairly all-inclusive. Can you speak to some of the inclusions that you have with Atlas?
Sure. With Atlas, I don't like to use the phrase all-inclusive because
Okay.
we're not all-inclusive, but we are very, very inclusive. We include all your meals, including specialty dining and 24-hour room service. We include all your adult beverages like fine wines, craft beers, and cocktails as well. We include a Wi-Fi package. We include gratuities. We include all your lectures. And I think we're going to be talking about more specifically expeditions in the polar region. So I won't get into what's included with expeditions now. I'll wait for when we chat about expeditions. But we are very, very inclusive. Probably easier to say what we don't include because we include a lot more, and the list is I think there's like 40 items that are included. But we do not include airfare from your local gateway to the destination. We don't include spa treatments in our spa, of course. We don't include all your excursions when we're in, like, for example, the Mediterranean. We don't include those excursions, but we'll have excursions for people to purchase, or some people just explore on their own. but pretty much everything else is included on our trips.
Now, we'll get into it a little bit later on expeditions, but when it comes to Atlas, do you consider yourselves primarily an expedition cruise line, or is it more like small ship yacht cruising?
It's definitely expedition. And we offer expedition to the polar regions, for specifically Antarctica and then the Arctic. But we also offer expeditions to the Mediterranean, and we call them Epicurean expeditions. So a lot of people aren't familiar with this new type of concept. So what we do is, like, for example, we just finished 5 months of Antarctica literally 3 days ago. We were there for 5 months: November, December, January, February, and March.
Right.
We had our entire fleet of 3 ships down in Antarctica, and now they're on their way. Well, one's heading to the Mediterranean, and then the other 2 are heading to Northern Europe and the Arctic. When we go to the Mediterranean, we take off our polar expedition team. So in the polar regions, we have a team of 15 or more experts in their field, everything from glaciologists to naturalists, marine biologists on board, giving lectures throughout the cruise and leading in when they're exploring on land and in the zodiacs. But when we finish Antarctica, which we just did, when we head to the Med, we take off our polar expedition team and we put on our Epicurean expedition team. And this is where we'll have experts in food and wine. We'll have guest chefs, celebrity chefs, vintners on board. And they're doing all types of fun stuff that relates around food and wine, like cooking demonstrations, cooking classes. We'll do wine tastings and wine pairings. We'll do different samples of maybe caviar or olive tasting or olive oil tasting. We even do a cooking challenge, which is a lot of fun. And they compete against each other, and they'll pick a winner. And the last 2 cruises I did in Europe, the winner, their dish made it on the main menu in the main dining room for people to choose if they wanted to. And that was really cool. And our guests got a thrill out of it, especially the winning chef. I mean, they got the bragging rights to all their friends and relatives back home that said, my dish that I won was served to 170 people on the ship. So we make it fun. We take food and wine to another level, especially in the Mediterranean.
Well, that's kind of bragging rights if you're that good a chef on board that you can satisfy 170 people.
Yeah, for sure.
So am I to understand that that's kind of the destinations and those themes are something that's unique to Atlas with how you position your itineraries?
It's definitely unique the way we have the combination of small ship cruising, how we offer polar expeditions and Epicurean expeditions, and we even offer cultural expeditions to places like the Caribbean, South America, the British Isles, Iceland, and places like that. But the fact that our ships hold under 200 guests, we're able to go to these unique harbors and ports where bigger ships are literally forbidden to go there. Either they would hit bottom, or just the towns or the Coast Guard won't allow them to go there for various reasons. So we're able to go to these little towns like Portofino, Italy, where the big ships can't go. We're able to dock in Venice and overnight in Venice, where 95% of the ships are an hour and a half away. And like when we're in the British Isles, we're able to go under the Tower Bridge in London and dock right there in Center City in London, where 95% of the ships are an hour and a half away. So it's definitely the perk of yacht style cruising.
So Barb, when you think about that, what Anthony's just kind of described there, with the size of these ships and the ability to get up close and personal into some of these ports, it's almost kind of like river cruising, where you're basically pulling up right next door to the destination.
Yes, but river cruising is very different. I think with Atlas Voyages, I think that they are in a level all of their own.
Really?
They've been very smart at what they're doing, and there's a definite market for this. Huge. It's very, very unusual. Yes, some of the other lines have cooking classes. Some of the smaller ships can get into some smaller ports than the larger ones, but not like what Atlas Ocean Voyages is doing.
No, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the river cruising is from one little village to another little village to another little village down a river.
Yeah.
But this is ocean cruising, and they're going into like the Amalfi Coast. I mean, who wouldn't want to dock right there instead of going to Sorrento or having to tender?
No,
So
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And I agree with you. That's what people are kind of looking for because
it is.
you don't want to pull up to a port like Anthony's example where the cruise ships, most of the larger cruise ships have to go to, I believe it's called Ravenna, and that's an hour and a half away from Venice. So
Yep,
you're climbing in a bus to do an excursion to Venice. It's
yep.
kind of takes the fun out of
It's
things.
very hard to do Venice in a day, Trieste or something like that. It's very, very difficult. It's a 12-hour day.
All right, so let's dive into the big one, Anthony. Antarctica. It's a major bucket list destination for a lot of people. How does Atlas handle this particular expedition?
Antarctica by far is our number one seller, and like I mentioned, our entire fleet was down there for the last 5 months. I don't even know if I mentioned that we are relatively new. We've only
Right.
been sailing for 3.5 years now, and our ships are 3.5 years or newer. The
Okay.
World Navigator was our first ship that launched 3.5 years ago, and then the World Traveler about a year after that, and then the World Voyager a year after that. So we have three identical ships, and they all hold under 190 people. And then we have two more ships on order, which will be coming out in the near future. Antarctica, we were there, like I mentioned, 5 months. We have 40 dates. 34 of the 40 dates were sold out. So very, very popular destination. And the reason people are booking with us is a combination of they're checking out our website, they're calling travel advisors like Barb and saying, hey, I saw this on social media that a bunch of people were having a great experience on
Yeah.
Atlas. Can you tell me more about them? And it's resonating. We include a hotel stay in Buenos Aires. We include a private air charter from Buenos Aires down to the southernmost city in the world, Ushuaia. And then we include a half-day tour of Tierra del Fuego National Park. And then you get back to the pier and you're on the ship and you have your choice of a 9-night cruise, 12, 14, 16-night cruise. Pretty much all your landings are included. All your Zodiac excursions are included. We give everybody a warm parka to keep. So there's not a big out-of-pocket expense once you're down there. When you're going to places like Europe, yes, there are shore excursions you have to partake in. If you want to, there's an extra fee. But with Antarctica, pretty much everything is included. And it's like going to another planet. It's not even like going to another continent.
And my clients that just got back this past weekend on your last sailing in Antarctica this year, she said they saw so many whales. She said it was almost at the point where we're saying, oh, another humpback. It was amazing. And
Yeah.
she just went on and on and on. She was just so high on the whole trip.
Now, one thing that shows up in the comments on our channel when we review an Antarctica expedition is the commenters are always, well, it's going to be kind of rough. And what about, you're not catching me on a ship in the Drake Passage because I've seen all those scary videos. And so, but I gather you've got kind of an option for that, do you, Anthony?
Yeah, we do have an option, but the one thing with crossing the Drake Passage, it could be rough. It could be when it's super rough, they call it Drake Shake, and when it's really calm, they call it Drake Lake. And in reality, for the most part, it's neither the shake or the lake. It's somewhere in between, and there's going to be some decent sized waves.
Yeah.
But these ships are newer, so they have the latest technology and the latest stabilizations. Our three yachts handle the waves much better than similar sized yachts did years ago because of the latest technology. But there are some people out there that are petrified of just thinking of crossing the Drake Passage. Like you said, Ken, they see these videos of these 34-foot waves smashing against the ship, and they're like, I want to go to Antarctica. It's a dream of mine. I've been to 6 of the 7 continents, but I am never going to Antarctica because I am not crossing that Drake Passage. So we do have some options where you fly over the Drake Passage. We have some programs. Instead of going down to Ushuaia to catch the ship, we would fly down to Punta Arenas, Chile, and then we have a private charter that takes all of our guests, all 172 guests, over the Drake Passage in a plane, and you land in King George Island and you get on the ship then. I recommend, if you can handle rougher waters, to do our traditional program, Crossing the Drake. It's part of the experience. It's bragging rights. It could be fun. You may be queasy for a little bit, but for those that will never go to Antarctica because of the Drake Passage, take advantage of our option to fly over it.
And I'd like just to say something from a travel agent's perspective. My clients that just came back, as I mentioned, the Drake Passage was acting up. So Atlas thought that they should leave a day earlier. They were in Buenos Aires, and they contacted everybody and they had them stand by in case they decided to leave a day earlier. I received a letter from the cruise line telling me this. When they got to Antarctica, it was a little rough, but she said it wasn't bad. And they got there. And then coming back, the Drake Passage was a little rough, and they had to stay a day extra in Antarctica, which was, she said, it was a blessing because the sun came out that day, and she said it was really, really gorgeous. And I got another letter saying that they had stayed an extra day in Antarctica. And as from a travel agent point of view, I thought that was phenomenal. I've been in the business a while, and it's the only time I've ever had that happen. And I was really, really pleased that I was kept abreast of what was happening with my clients.
Well, absolutely, and it's fantastic that they keep the lines of communication open to the travel advisor community while your guests are on expedition. So that's fantastic. And it really has to be kind of a huge bonus, Barb, I would think, for the folks that actually do want to do Antarctica, but just can't get over the hiccup of trying to get across the Drake Passage.
Oh, yeah,
You
sure.
have the option to fly. Now, Anthony, you mentioned that the ships are basically new, like 3 years old is basically a new ship. Let's talk about the staterooms and suites. What can guests expect?
Beautiful staterooms, very nicely appointed. Most of our staterooms are 270 square feet and larger. We do have a handful of staterooms that are 183 square feet. These are ideal for people, maybe solo travelers or people that are just on a tight budget but just want to cruise with us because of our great reputation and the destinations we take. They all have nice little sitting areas, and you have your choice of either a true balcony with 52 square feet of outside space, or you have your choice of a French balcony, which is where you push a button by your bed and the top half of the window drops down to your bottom half. Some people call it a French balcony. Some companies call it a Juliet balcony, but you'll have more interior space when you have the French balcony. Large bathrooms. It's just very, very nicely appointed. We also have 10 suites to choose from. We have 3 different categories of suites, but 10 in total.
Right.
And they range in size from 382 square feet up to 465 square feet. And they have a separate bedroom, a separate living room. They have a balcony that cuts across both the bedroom and the living room. They have butler services provided when you take advantage of a suite.
Sounds absolutely amazing. Now, I've heard there are plenty of options for different dietary needs.
Being we're a smaller cruise line, as far as number of passengers on board, everything is made fresh when you order it. Nothing is made until you place your order with our server. So it's if you want less salt in your dish, or it has to be gluten-free or vegetarian or vegan, just every time you place your order, just mention, I cannot have any gluten in this dish, and we'll make sure it is gluten-free or nut-free. And our menus are constantly changing every day. We have delicious, fresh options to choose from. And on the menu, it'll be clearly marked if it's a gluten-free dish or if it's a vegetarian dish. And like I said, we'll special make something for you.
What about the dining options on board, Anthony? You mentioned specialty dining. Is there more than one dining venue on board your ships?
There's only 2, so we are small. So we have the main dining room that can accommodate all the guests, and it's more like a casual type dining. There's no formal nights, no jackets or ties or gowns required. It's open seating, so you just go in whenever the dining room is open. You could ask for table for 2, table for 4. The food and the service in that dining room is off the charts. But we also have a specialty restaurant called 7 Aft. It's a New York style chop house, and it is complimentary, so it is included. Reservations are required, but our guests cannot make a reservation till they board the ships. It's outside. It's a alfresco dining, poolside. The last time I went, don't make fun of me, don't judge me, but I had a 34-ounce tomahawk steak.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't want to get it, but the night before, all these people in the bar area, like we have a beautiful lounge on the top deck, they were all saying like, oh my God, it was so good, you have to try it. I'm like, 34 ounces, I can't. So I didn't eat lunch the next day because I wanted, my mother taught me not to waste food. So I'm like, if I order a 34-ounce steak, I have to eat 34 ounces of meat, or my mother up in heaven is going to be looking down saying, Anthony, I told you, don't be wasteful. So I didn't have lunch that day, and I sat there and I ate the most delicious, giant steak. Oh my goodness, 34 ounces. And that's complimentary too. So it's a nice treat when you get to eat in this restaurant.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm there for that. So, Barb, what kind of traveler do you think is a perfect fit for Atlas?
So, Ken, I think in answer to your question, people the ages of 45 and up, they're looking for something different. They're looking for something inclusive as Atlas is. And I just believe that having a more community, family feel on board, a more relaxed feeling on board, that's what clients want today. They want to learn. They
Yeah.
want to have fun, but they want to learn. In Antarctica, the expedition teams are superior. They truly, truly are. In Europe, it's the same thing, but people get to learn. There's lectures on board, and they just that's what people are really thirsty for nowadays.
Fantastic. Anthony, if folks wanted to find out more information about Atlas or book their next cruise or expedition, where would they go?
Your two best options are to learn more about us and see what type of options we offer and what type of trips we have around the world. Your best bet is just to go on our website, which is www.atlasoceanvoyages.com. But to make a reservation, I would highly recommend contacting your local travel advisor. If you don't have one or you're looking for a new one, I would highly recommend contacting Barb at Direct Travel. I've known her for years. She's very well respected in the industry. She knows Atlas inside and out, and she'll definitely take good care of you.
Perfect. So, Barb, if folks would like to reach out to you about an Atlas Ocean cruise, how would they do that?
They can call me at 519-670-4448 or email me at B for Barbara Chamberlain at DT.com. So BCHAMBERLAIN at DT, like directtravel.com.
Excellent. I'll leave that information in the show notes for folks that might like to reach out. But as always, I have to know what's next on your travel to-do list.
Mine is going to our second most popular destination, which is to the Arctic. I'm looking forward to a trip that is taking in Svalbard, which is very north up in the Arctic Circle, looking for polar bears and walruses up there, and then heading over to Greenland and ultimately ending up in Iceland. So it's a 3-country trip, and very, very much looking forward to that this summer.
Fantastic. And Barb, a little bird told me that your bags are already packed. So where are you off to?
Well, they're almost packed. I'm off to Istanbul, and I'm spending 3 nights in Istanbul, and then I'm getting on the Regent Grandeur, which is their new ship. We're going from Istanbul to Venice, and then I'm spending a couple of nights in Venice, and then coming home.
Sounds great to me. Anthony, the Arctic expedition or cruise is something that a lot of people don't know too much about. We'll have to have you back to enlighten us about that. How does that sound?
I would love it.
Perfect. And Barb, I'm really looking forward to hearing about this latest cruise adventure you're off to. We'll have to have you back.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, folks, I'm just going to wish the two of you safe and happy travels on all your future cruises and destinations and adventures. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see both of you on the Lido deck of an Atlas Ocean Voyages ship sometime soon in the future.
Thanks, Ken.
Take care.
Thanks, Ken.
And that about wraps it up for today, folks. Very special thanks to my guests, Barbara Chamberlain of Direct Travel and Anthony Iozzia of Atlas Ocean Voyages. If you'd like to reach out to Barb, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com, visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or simply leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, share, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps other folks just like you to find our content. So until next time, happy travels.